Reagan's mom arrived at Reagan's house to check on her. When she walked in, she saw her 34-week pregnant daughter laying face down in a pool of blood. She called 911 and said, "Help me, my daughter's been murdered." And when the dispatcher asked what happened, she said, I don't know, somebody," and then it was just unintelligible. Then she said, "There's blood everywhere, oh my babies, oh my God." In the 911 call, Jessica was crying out to her husband, Marcus, yelling, "Did they hurt her? I can't do this, my baby, my baby, my baby." She then asked if Kinley was all right before saying, "I can't tell what happened. Did they just hurt her? What did they do? There's so much blood. There's so much blood." Marcus found Kinley in the other room, and 3 minutes into the 911 call, Kinley asks, "Where's mommy?" Police quickly arrive and turned Reagan over, unveiling a gruesome discovery that her baby was missing. The house and Reagan were in absolutely shocking condition. Reagan had multiple stab wounds and deep incisions all over her body. She had been cut open from hip to hip, her uterus pulled out and cut. Her hands had many defensive wounds, including bruises, scrapes, scab wounds, and cuts on her fingers and palms. One finger was dislocated, and the tip of another was nearly cut off. There was a bloody handprint on the refrigerator right below ultrasound photos. A child's bathing suit, who I assume is Kinley's, was soaked in blood on the living room floor. There was a urine-soaked diaper on top of a pool of blood in the living room next to the couch. There was a large blood stain on the edge of the couch with clumps of what appeared to be Reagan's blonde hair in it, as if her head was leaning against it at some point during this savage attack. A blanket on the living room floor was soaked with blood and what is believed to have been amniotic fluid. Reagan had a circle indentation mark on her forehead that matched the bottom of a 4-pound mason jar with a monogrammed H, a jar from their wedding that was filled with pink and blue sand. There were bloody swipes by the front door with more patterns suggesting bloody hair was smeared against it. It indicated that Reagan was pushed against the wall, sliding toward the front door and down to the floor. The wall near where Reagan was found was absolutely splattered with blood in all directions. Some of it was even dripping down the walls. Just truly horrific, barbaric, and incomprehensible. There were also watery bloodstains on the kitchen and hallway bathroom sink, as if somebody had tried to wash something bloody. And while going through all of this discovery, they noticed a white Croc shoe that was left inside the house. By this point, Homer had arrived home to the crime scene tape and to Kinley in the driveway. He wasn't allowed in the house, and he called his neighbor at 10:35 a.m. This is the same neighbor who found the dog. He told her that his wife was dead, and it was a very quick 30-second call because clearly he was in absolute shock and distress. While Reagan's family was in absolute shock about her death and mourning the loss of their daughter, wife, grandchild, baby, you name it, the hospital across town was trying to figure out what the hell happened to Taylor, who just gave birth in her car. Taylor was very adamant about not having an exam, but when they did examine her internally for bleeding, they found she didn't have a cervix, and she wasn't bleeding anywhere internally in her private areas as if she had delivered a baby, and an ultrasound showed she had no ultrasound. They also did a blood test and found she had no pregnancy hormones, but she was still insistent that she had delivered that baby girl. And I mean, girl, it's time to give it up at this point. The jig is up. The jig is up. At around 1 p.m., all local police were notified of a murder and kidnapped baby. At 1:22 p.m., the baby that Taylor had claimed was hers was taken off life support and pronounced dead. Doctors said that this little baby would have been viable, but she had suffered a lack of oxygen. Police connected everything at this point, and they went to the hospital and arrested Taylor. She was charged with capital murder for the murder of Reagan, and she was also eventually charged with capital murder and kidnapping for Braxlin.